Grab your strongest cup of coffee because welcome to what we're officially calling Honji Shinzo Childi Kaisi, this deep dive. Today, we are setting the stage for a massive decoding of the 2026 HDMI ecosystem. We're going to break down the protocols, the form factors, and the industry horizons dictating literally every single pixel and sound wave in your living room and workstation. This is your ultimate survival guide to navigating the absolute pinnacle of consumer audio and video transmission. So buckle up. HDMI operates as the central nervous system of the modern digital home and the high-performance computing workstation. Okay, it sounds dramatic, but it's entirely true. Think about it. HDMI is basically the apex predator of the tech world. It completely and ruthlessly killed off analog cables. Goodbye VGA, see a component video, rest in peace SCART. It didn't even spare digital stepping stones like DVI. It just consumed them all to become the single, undisputed king of connections. So here is our syllabus for today's masterclass. We'll be hitting the interface overlord, size and physics compromises, the bandwidth quantum leap, global market tech philosophies, and lastly, your ultimate anti-scam guide so you never get tricked buying a terrible cable again. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the interface overlord. Before HDMI, you needed a literal snake pit of cables behind your TV. Audio left, audio right, 3 for video, maybe another for control data. It was a mess. HDMI elegantly unified all of that into a legacy workhorse called TMDS, or Transition Minimized Differential Signaling. Now think of TMDS as a super reliable, solid 3-lane highway. It was great for a while, but as we smashed into the 4K, 8K, and now 10K eras, we hit massive traffic jams. Enter modern FRL, fixed rate link. This isn't just adding a lane to the highway, it's a multi-gigabit packet-based warp speed teleporter, and you absolutely need this teleporter to survive the massive data demands we're seeing today. Moving on to section 2, size and physics compromises. Okay, let's talk about the true magic of the HDMI spec. It's backward and forward compatibility. It's actually crazy that a cutting-edge 2026 ultra-high-speed device using FRL can seamlessly talk to some dusty 2010 display running TMDS, and it's completely frictionless. These devices basically shake hands using EDID, Extended Display Identification data. They instantly negotiate the absolute maximum mutually supported resolution, refresh rate, and color space. Zero user intervention required. It just works. Now, to make that magic happen everywhere, we've got different form factors. Type A is your standard, rugged 19-pin connector, totally solid, rated for 10,000 insertions. Then there's Type C, the Mini, which is great for portable devices and 100% electrically compatible. And then there's Type D, the micro HDMI. Look, Type D is engineered for action cams and drones, right? It's only 6.4 millimeters wide, but let's be totally honest here. It is so incredibly fragile, you might break a pin and cause crosstalk just by looking at it a little too aggressively. You really need serious precision manufacturing if you're messing with Type D.
Which brings us to section 3. Get ready for the bandwidth quantum leak.
Quick question. Have you ever heard someone brag about their quote-unquote HDMI 1.5 setup? Let me definitively bust that myth right now. HDMI 1.5 officially never existed. Seriously, the HDMI licensing administrator never released a 1.5 spec. What people are actually talking about are proprietary manufacturer implementations that basically hacked 1.4 hardware. They pushed it way beyond standard limits, using severe chroma subsampling, just to squeeze out early 4K at 60 Hz. It was a sketchy stopgap, definitely not a standard. Let's look at the actual evolutionary timeline. Back in the late 2000s, HDMI 1.4 gave us 10.2 gigabits per second. That was enough for 1080p and early 30 Hz 4K. Next up, HDMI 2.0 brought us into the true 4K and HDR era, expanding the pipe to 18 Gbps and dropping that massive Rec 2020 color space on us. But then came HDMI 2.1, and wow, it absolutely shattered the limits, pushing us to a staggering 48 gigabits per second for 8K gaming and beyond. I mean, that is a massive, massive architectural upgrade. But HDMI 2.1 wasn't just about raw speed, it gave us some much-needed quality-of-life fixes too. We have all experienced this, right? You're watching a movie, maybe an ad plays, the frame rate changes, and boom, your screen goes totally black for 3 seconds, the dreaded HDMI bonk. Well, thankfully, QMS, or quick media switching, is the heroic protocol that finally cures this. It completely eliminates that blackout screen when a source changes frame rates, so your viewing stays perfectly seamless. And for the gamers tuning into this explainer, 2.1 was an absolute blessing. It gave us VRR and ALLM. Variable refresh rate dynamically syncs your display's refresh rate directly with your GPU's frame output, which literally eliminates screen tearing. At the same time, auto-low latency mode lets the TV detect a gaming signal and instantly drops input lag to the absolute minimum without you ever having to touch the remote. For competitive esports and high-end console gaming, these features are absolute lifesavers. Let's shift gears and dive into Section 4, Global Market Tech Philosophies. Jumping across the globe, it's fascinating how different regions treat the central nervous system completely differently. In the Americas, it's all about the console wars and raw 240Hz PC gaming speed. They demand uncompromising latency reduction. Meanwhile, over in the European market, they want cinematic fidelity. We're talking eco-friendly Dolby Atmos living rooms, carefully balancing insane 48 Gbps processing power with super strict standby energy regulations. And then, in Asia, you have the epicenters of manufacturing. They are already building out an 8K broadcasting future and supplying the flawless silicon and optical cables for the entire rest of the world. It is wild to see just how polarized the world's tech obsessions actually are. You've got the Americas pushing for maximum bandwidth, Europe prioritizing acoustic supremacy and energy efficiency, and Asia hyper-focused on miniaturization and extreme 8K integration. Yet, despite these vastly different regional philosophies, every single one of them relies on the exact same 19-pin connector to make it happen. All right, we have arrived at Section 5. Time for the ultimate anti-scam guide. Listen up, because this is the only cheat sheet you will ever need. If you've got an older 1080p projector, a standard high-speed 1.4 cable at 10.2 gigabits per second is totally fine. Just rocking a standard 4K streaming stick, premium high-speed 2.0 at 18 gigabits per second is your target. But if you are plugging in a next-gen console, a high-end PC GPU, or a flagship OLED TV, you absolutely must use an ultra-high-speed 2.1 cable rated for the full 48 gigabits. You have to match the cable certification to your hardware, or you are literally throwing performance right out the window. Now prepare to have your mind blown for a second. Traditional passive copper cables? They're great, and they're cheap for runs under 3 meters, but try pushing 48 gigabits through copper over long distances, and your signal is going to degrade into artifacting garbage. The solution? Active Optical Cables, or AOCs. These cables literally use microlasers built right into the connector heads to shoot pulses of light across fiber optic strands. They convert electricity to light and back again, which allows for flawless 48 gigabits PS transmission over 30 meters, and they are completely immune to electromagnetic interference. How cool is that? So let's summarize the hard technical rules for professional future-proofing. Rule 1. Always mandate holographic QR ultra-high-speed certifications on your packaging. Uncertified cables will definitively fail under peak FRL stress. Rule 2. If you are doing in-wall wiring, strictly use directional AOCs so power lines don't interfere with your precious signal. And Rule 3. If you're forced to use those delicate Type-C or D-mini and microports, employ strain relief adapters to protect your motherboard from mechanical shear stress. Don't skip that step. Which brings us to the ultimate question you need to ask yourself as we wrap up. Take a hard look at your living room setup. Look at the cables hidden behind your TV. Is your home theater architecture truly ready for the 10K resolution future? Well, armed with the knowledge of FRL, EDID handshaking, and active optical microlasers, you now have the tools to make absolutely sure it is. Go check your cables, upgrade your setup, and whatever you do, don't let a cheap connection bottleneck your brilliant displays.